Good afternoon. I'm Jim Wright with Georgia Waterfalls, and I'm here at Barefoot Falls, which is on a unnamed creek that feeds in the Etowah River outside the city of Dawsonville, Georgia. I'm here at the Dawson WMA City of Atlanta track. So today, let's go ahead and explore this waterfall, talk about the hike, how to get here, and all that stuff. So let's go explore.
Falling water captivates us. We are drawn to it. I have been drawn to it ever since I was young. I have been amazed by its power and peace, its quiet trickle in the cove, and its mighty roar that blocks out all other sound. Its chaos in the stillness of nature. So please follow me into the forest and on gravel roads as we explore the waterfalls of Georgia in a unique way. Georgia on Location Waterfalls will be a guiding video series that will use aerial photography, logistics, and my experiences to tell the story of a waterfall. So let's hit the trail and explore. Today's 2 mile hike, it could be a 2.5 mile hike if we go off the beaten trail, will take us to a unique place. The last hike we were near an active military base for Black Falls on the Etowah. We are near Etowah again, but maybe 40 miles downstream at Barefoot Falls. However, Barefoot Falls is located about 3 miles away from the former Georgia Nuclear Aircraft Laboratory. Back in the 1950s, the U.S. Army used this area to construct and test a nuclear aircraft. Search YouTube because this story about this location is quite interesting. All that remains of this location is a few buildings and some foundations. The area has been deemed safe to hike except for the hot cell building, which is heavily fenced off. This reminds me of a story when I was hiking here many, many years ago. I was getting ready to start out at the main trail. This is where the horse camp is. And you can get to Barefoot Falls this way, but it's like a 4.5 mile hike versus our 1 mile down, 1 mile back. So I was getting ready to hike just to explore the trails. And I come across a guy and we're talking and he's leaving as I'm starting the trail and he has his backpack out and he starts pulling out all these things. He pulls out a gas mask and a Geiger counter, and I was very perplexed by this. And I asked him, I said, what's the deal with all this stuff? Why do you have a Geiger counter to go hiking? So he proceeded to tell me the tale about how, the building, the hot cell building is what it was called. This is where they would do the nuclear tests, and you could illegally get in there and explore around. There were some underground chambers and this and that, and apparently they had flooded it through. But I'm not endorsing this. This is what some guy told me. I never did that. I'm cool with keeping my radiation levels at normal. But that's the story of this part of the Dawson Forest where the nuclear aircraft was developed. So we're going to go ahead and start talking about Barefoot Falls. So let's go. We are going to start our journey as if we were at the Olive Garden on the corner of Dawson Forest Road and Georgia 400. Leave the parking lot and go left or west on the Dawson Forest Road for about 9 miles. At about 4 miles traveling Dawson Forest Road, you'll come to a double roundabout. Continue straight on Dawson Forest Road. About 2 miles later, you will enter the Dawson Forest City of Atlanta track. The horse camp will be on your right. Continue past this for 2.1 miles. The road will go up the hill, turn left on the Clark Road. There will be no signs, but look for a defined three-way intersection with a lot of cleared forest. Go on Clark Road for about 0.8 mile. On the right will be a parking lot for the trailhead. Look for a large rock and a gate behind the rock. Don't park in front of the gate. You will be hiking the Green Trail, also marked as Ram Road, which will have trees with a green square painted on them. This is a 2-mile round-trip hike, 1 mile down the hill to the falls on the roadbed, and 1 mile uphill back. My hike ended up being a 2.5 mile hike because I hiked up the waterfall, then followed the creek to another waterfall on this unnamed creek, and then bushwhacked to meet back up with the trail. I would not suggest this unless you are good with navigating or have a GPS map that can trace your steps. If you were to do this, I would only suggest going in the winter as it will be easier to bushwhack. I used my GPS watch which traced my steps, and I was able to use that information to find my way back to the trail. You could also drop a pin on your phone, but I haven't tried that and I don't know how reliable that would be, especially in places with a weak signal. Just past the gate, you'll come to an intersection with the Orange Trail. Stay straight on the gravel road. You will follow this for 1 mile as it descends towards the Etowah River. At the 1 mile mark, you will come up to a campground on the left and a creek crossing. The falls are to the right upstream. Once finished with the falls, head back the way you came. Barefoot Falls is a stair-step waterfall and has 2 sections. The lower section is about 25 feet and is a more gradual stair-step, while the upper section is a more vertical 30-foot section. They are separated by 50 feet of flat water. There are trails up the waterfall on both sides, but one on the left is easier and a more worn trail. Both are a steep climb. I highly recommend this off-the-beaten-path waterfall. It is a common stop for kayakers traveling down the river through the Dawson Forest and is a preferred way to see the waterfall since the road is closed during the summer. I hiked this in the winter so the road was open and it allowed me to bushwhack upstream to the upper Barefoot Falls. I would recommend this only because it cuts a lot of the vertical climb off the road trail. You get to hike along an old roadbed and you get to see at least 2 more waterfalls. These waterfalls are only about 5 to 10 feet high. So the day I went, I saw the lower Barefoot, hiked up the left side, saw the upper, and continued hiking up the left side of the creek past the upper. I would say I hiked a half mile along this old roadbed and saw a sliding 10-foot waterfall and then saw a 5-foot ledge waterfall. I could have hiked the creek more, but I wanted to get back to the trail. My next hike, I'm going to hike the whole creek. I used my map on my watch to bushwhack into the woods until I met up with the green trail. I marked a tree with a pile of rocks, and it has a bare spot on the bark. To get to the creek from the green trail from here, just hike east until you hit the creek. So the next time you're near Dawsonville, Georgia, go and see Barefoot Falls. This is Jim Wright with Georgia Waterfalls. Have a great day.